I've been adding Google Charts to your Salesforce organization. If you do a search for the image chart editor, you'll find our tool at imagecharteditor.appspot.com. Click on the chart tool. It'll bring up a gallery of all the different types of charts you can create. There's many more in the full gallery listed down below. In this case, and for this example, we're going to do a horizontal bar chart. When you've done it, in the right-hand corner, it's going to show you the default settings that Google Chart automatically gives you. In this case, I'm seeing a stacked horizontal chart with a background light gray and the foreground in blue. We're going to change this to be a gas gauge for 4 different products. Have the total sales per each account in green in the foreground, background of all red showing the amount of sales that we have yet to achieve at this particular account. Now the first one I'm going to do is to get rid of the title. Changes are made by working in the left-hand panel and expanding these little sections. I expand out the title, I can go ahead and delete the title, and as soon as I tab off or close the box, you'll see it's updated. My image in the right no longer has a title. Next, it's important to set the proper size. In this case, we're going to go 450 wide by 150 pixels tall. And as you make these changes, you can see what size you're going to get to be placed into your detail pages, your reports, or other areas of Salesforce. I'll click the box. I'm going to work with my data. Now, in this case, I know I have 4 products that I want to see data for. So I'm going to set the size of the data to 4. I'm going to set the maximum amount to the largest sales we have with any customer, in this case, million. Now I'll put in 4 values. We'll make them even. So we got 1 million, 3 million, 6 million, 7 million. Tab off, you'll see it's updated, and my foreground has those 4 images. I close the first data set, and now the second data set, and in this case, we're going to make it 4 elements, and again, we'll set the maximum size to 8 million. Around, I want all the values 8 million. You'll see how it works in 1 second. So as I tab off of this or close the data set, you'll see that I've got a background coloration that's how much sales we haven't achieved, and a foreground of what we have achieved. Now, I like to use green for the sales we've achieved. Click on color, and if you don't understand hex coding, you can go ahead and choose any color you want, but I happen to know that this is red, green, blue with 2 characters each, and if I say 0s for the red, 8 for the green, and 0s for the blue, I get a very nice green cash color. Same thing if I go to my data set 2, I can go ahead and say give me 80 for the red, and green, blue will be rows, and I get a very nice looking red. Close to having the image we want right now. Put in our axes. Now, default, the bottom axis is currently showing the ticks from 0 to 160. We're going to put labels because labels work better for very large numbers. From 0, and add another label, so I will go back up to the top here and add a new axis. Axis, default, but I'll change it to be the left side or the y-axis, and again I'll use labels, but this time go ahead and put in the labels of my products. And my axes, you can see upper right-hand image. I have an image that would look really good on my Dell page, on my list views, or my reports, showing the product sales for any particular account. Now, down below in the yellow box, you see a breakdown which each one of the parameters in the URL that's being generated for this, and go ahead and see that the last change I made is highlighted in red. So let's see, well, where is my data in this URL? I head to my my data sets again. In this case, let's go to data set 1, and let's just say it's no longer 700,000 or 7 million, it's 700,000. The image updates, but now I can see this line right here that contains the data that I want to modify by using merge fields in a formula. So like 1 million, 3 million, 6 million, 700,000, and then the second set. Now, the entire URL can be copied and pasted into a formula field. When you get with this URL right here, it will always show this image. But by inserting merge fields at these points, we can go ahead and make it so it's a dynamic image for any particular account you happen to be looking at. So double down the URL up here. This is the entire URL in one link. Control that to my buffer, and let's go into Salesforce. Now, inside of Salesforce, you can see on my detail page for Dickinson PLC, I don't have any images in this top section. I have the images that I've already shown as part of my PowerPoint presentation. So I go into my account fields, and in my account field, say I'd like to do a brand new field. I want it to be a formula field, and this is the part right here that's a little less intuitive. We're going to name first off to say this is our AAA Dreamforce demo field, but then you don't see any image return types. You have to know that images are always returned as text, and that's not really intuitive. Oh, evidently, I duplicated my name. Here we go again. I can go ahead and create my formula. And this is going to use the formula, would turn an image, but requires a URL first, then some alternate text, especially a height and width. So I'm just going to type this in by hand because I know this formula very well. The first thing I need is my URL, and now I'll paste my URL in. This is my URL. Now to say that the alternate text will just be no image available. And you see directly above the chart size of 450 by 150. The only thing you have to know is that Google takes these backwards in the way that Salesforce wants them. So if I have 150, 450, they're matched up. It's important to match them up so that in the list views and the reports, the proper size is allocated and the images look appropriate for all the reports and list views that you do. Now, up above, we can see this is my chart data right here. This is this is my chart data right here. So this is a section I want to replace with merge fields. So what I'm going to do first is to come in right after the colon, put in a double quote, and then I'm going to put in a couple carriage returns to break things up a bit. I know that I don't want 1 million, 3 million, 6,700,000, but everything else on this line. So the sign appends these together, and right now this would work if we wouldn't have any data for first data set. So I need to insert all the data fields using merge fields. Now I've cheated to save time. I've got them all listed right here on my screen. I'm going to copy these into my buffer. Go to my merge field. Now you notice that this is a little bit more complex than just simply putting the merge field in. The individual fields come back as numbers, and you can't take a number and append it to a text string directly. You have to first convert it into text. And going ahead and substituting and bringing out the commas so that any commas in the numbers get stripped out and the graphic renders much more quickly and much more appropriately. But this is what you need to do at this point. We see good to go. I, of course, go ahead and check my but I'll live dangerously, say next. And I did have a unaffected number received text instead of plus. And that is I duplicated my plus sign at the last line like I always do. We'll go ahead and correct that, hit next. Accept this, so this is a new custom field. We're setting the security level like we always do for all our fields. And I'm just going to go ahead and add it to all of my page layouts by hitting save. Now with that change, we should be able to go back to Dickinson PLC. And when I refresh my screen, anybody that's acted as an administrator and added fields know that the new field is added to the bottom of the first section. And here we can see my graphic with the 700,000 for the shooting star. We'll roll down. Now, normally these data would be roll-up summary fields. In this case, I went ahead and made them direct text. It'd be very easy for me to come in here and say, well, let's go ahead, instead of 700,000, let's make this 7 million. And with that one change, you'll see it automatically updates the image at 7 million. So now we have an image that can be used in reports, list views, and also on detail pages that's really dynamic and will update the image based off of the current account that you're looking at. If you have questions, feel free to go ahead and chat with me. You'll find me as Mark Epperson on the Dreamforce Chatter app. Thank you.